my life is now better because I read this stuff every day and it allows me to deal with life better. So why should I be a Sikh? I can only tell you why I'm a Sikh. Because I don't know what I would be right now if I didn't have this wisdom.
How to fit in and balance the life purpose or connectedness with our busy lives and daily life purpose, for example, providing and caring for kids and our family duties as mother or father. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. I like the fact that the question has been phrased around connectedness, and the way that I would help to answer the question of how do we stay connected whilst we're having a busy life, while we got so many other duties and responsibilities, is I would ask you to think about what are you connecting to? And instinctively, from all of the religious training that we've had over the span of our lifetime, we've always been taught that we're being connected to something else, something that's far away, some God-like being. I like to call that character Mr. God. You know, the old man with a white beard sitting in the clouds. But the truth of the matter is, that is not what you're connecting to. And what I love about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's wisdom is that he's teaching us that within everything that you interact with in life is a beautiful essence, is something that connects all of us together. The Shabad that springs to mind for those of you that are familiar with verses in the Nitnem, in Anand Sahib, the Guru teaches us, "Eh vis sansar tum dekhde, eh har ka roop hai, har roop nadri aya." And what that translates to is the world that you see, that is the body of God, that is the form of God. And you must see that God as everything around you, the subtle essence that is in all of us. So when you start to say that I need to connect with God while I'm keeping myself busy with other things, that's where you've split your thinking. That other thinking is essentially what is called duality, that you don't know that life is God. So you're not connecting to something far away. What you're recognizing is that you are already connected. And that is the only thing that you must connect with, is a remembrance that we're all here. This is the one chance that we have to connect with life. So what I would encourage everyone to do is, rather than looking for something else called God, it is changing your perspective about how you see the everyday life all around you. There's a beautiful story that I was taught many years ago, and it was about an old meditative Swami who was very hungry and very poor, and he was sitting on the side of a road and he was meditating. And a rich man comes along and he throws him a piece of bread. The old meditative man took that bread and fed it to a dog, a stray dog that was on the road. The rich man who threw the bread started laughing and saying, "Look how foolish you are. You're hungry. I've given you some food, and you've just given that food to a stray dog." And the old meditative man said, "God is feeding God, and God is laughing at God." And what I love about this story is that it really gets you to understand that right now, in this very moment, you are looking at God. God is talking to God. God is listening to God. So there isn't something else that you're connecting to. This is what Guru Nanak's powerful message of oneness really means. It is already here. The only problem is that you haven't got the ability to see it right now. And with the Guru's guidance, we start to train our way to see life in a different way. And so you're not connecting with something else. You are already connected. Just change your perspective and all of life will change around you.
Okay, Birji. My question is on behalf of all the youths, as I think this is something we all resonate with. How do we sit all as modern young Sikh, the youth, work, friends, family, good weather, and my own activities and interests?
Balance is a very important word. And it is very easy for us to feel overwhelmed We've got so many commitments. We have family commitments, work commitments. We've got to study. We've got a social life. We have that Netflix series that we all need to binge watch because we haven't got around to seeing it yet. We've got so many things that we need to do. And then somebody comes along and says, but you haven't woken up early in the morning and you haven't done your prayers and you haven't done your meditation. And so what we begin to do is we begin to see it as another burden, another thing that needs to be done in our life. And what I love about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's technique, Guru Nanak gives you a wisdom that was designed for busy people in modern day lives. You see, spiritual wisdom before Guru Nanak Dev Ji was very much reserved for monks. So in order for you to have a spiritual life, you had to abandon your family responsibilities, your work, your job. You had to leave and go and sign up to a group somewhere sitting in the Himalayan mountains, meditating away. You weren't allowed to wear designer clothes. You had to get rid of all of those and wear these religious garbs. Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes along, and when he goes and visits all of these various religious groups, they ask him, well, you're so spiritual. Why don't you leave your wife and family and why don't you come join us? Why don't you come and join our spiritual clan? And Guru Nanak gives a fantastic answer. He says, the whole world is burning right now, and the people who can help are up here meditating on a mountain. You guys have the ability to help, but you're not helping the real people. I want to show the common working person who is married, who does have a job, who does have children. I want to show them how to do that spiritual connection while they're doing all those busy things. And so he comes up with a technique, which is that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, meditate at that moment. So you have a beautiful line from the Sukhmani Sahib, which says, Uthat, Baithat, Sovat. This is the technique of Gurbani. While you're sleeping, while you're awake, while you're having a conversation, have the mindset change. So you don't need to stop anything that you're doing. This is the problem, that most of us have not been trained with this technique. So even now, all of you who are sitting here watching this screen right now, where is your mind? Can you feel a sense of centeredness? Can you feel the flavor in the air? Can you feel the beauty that's all around you right now? You don't have to go somewhere else. You don't have to stop what you're doing. You can realize that the very act of breathing becomes a meditation if you apply Guru Nanak's wisdom of Naam. Naam means right here, right now, there is a beauty to this moment. There is a beauty to the fact that I am breathing even though I have nothing to do with it. I'm not causing this breath to happen, it's happening. My eyes can see, that's Naam. My ears are listening, that's Naam. That is available to you right now. So this connection, this method that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has brought is so wonderful because right now, right here, it's available to you. So you don't have to go somewhere else. But I think for a lot of us, we almost don't want to get into this space. We're very comfortable with our life. In fact, what we want to say, can I not just have a prayer that I do for 5 minutes in the morning and then I get on with my normal life? But Guru Nanak is saying, why would you want to live a mundane, normal life when I can give you a beautiful life? Carry on doing what you're doing, but can you make each moment beautiful? Right now, when you're eating your food, can you make that a beautiful moment? And so this is such a wonderful methodology that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has offered you, and he's trained you on a different way to get on with that busy life. Think about how busy Guru Nanak was. Think about all the things that the Gurus managed to achieve. Not only were they writing thousands and thousands of verses teaching us how to do these things, Guru Nanak was building cities, creating communities. There were so many different things. At later points, the Gurus even needed to fight battles. There were so many social injustices that the Gurus had to stand up for. You can't say that Guru Nanak didn't have a busy life. So if your teacher has shown you how to have a busy life and a wonderful life, I mean, Guru Nanak, most people don't know, was even sent to prison. Most people don't know that Guru Nanak went to jail. And what did he do when he was in jail? He was meditating. He said, okay, I'll make this a beautiful moment as well. So this is the technique that the Guru has lived and shown us that this is possible. Now the question is this something that you're interested in your life? Is this something that you want to take onto your life? Do you want to make every moment beautiful in your life, regardless of what you're doing? If you're sitting at home watching Netflix, it can be beautiful. If you're out socializing with your friends, it can be beautiful. So this is something that's available to you. The real question is, do you want it? And that's where you have to start asking, am I interested in this? Does this sound appealing to me? Or do I just want to carry on with my daily life and then maybe just slot in a couple of minutes of meditation or prayers or nitnem in the morning? That's up to you.
Shabad. So I hosted one of the groups as well in our breakout group. So this is a question on behalf of the group. How is that connection to the life force influenced by our connections with others in our life? For example, when we have to deal with sick or disabled parents or a sick or disabled child. And then from day 3, when we spoke about treating our body as a temple, the question was, how do we treat ourselves fairly when as a mother, you're placing your needs onto the needs of your children?
Yeah, this goes back to what we were talking about, which is the most important thing is to give yourself some time. It's very easy to burn out in today's society with so many different things that we need to juggle. And it's very easy for us to place the interest of others before ourselves, especially if we're a parent and we have so many things and we realize that you can only run on that fuel for so long before you start to feel that burnout. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, how do I recharge my own batteries? Not for a selfish reason, because in order to continue to serve, I need to be well. So that creating a space for yourself for mental wellness is so important. Creating time where you can recharge your own batteries, where you can feel whole, where you can feel uplifted, because if you're well, then you can serve others. Then you can be a better parent. And I know everybody can relate to this. If you're stressed, you take it out on your family. How many times have they just walked into the room and they've just asked you for something, but because you're already in an agitated space, you have a go at them. You shout at them, not because they've done something wrong, but in that moment, you're already just burning up. Look at this beautiful verse from Gurbani that says, Jagat jalanda rakh le. The whole world is burning. Nanak dukhiya sab sansar. Everybody is suffering. So how do we create space for ourselves? And that is something that you have to now look out for yourself and say, what do I need? For me, I can only answer this question for myself. I find the morning when my kids aren't awake is my time. That is the time when I give myself that meditative space. And believe me, I've gone for a very long time where I haven't done it, where I say, oh, I don't need to do it. And I get up and I just go, go, go. I'm sure you can all relate that when you wake up in the morning, what are the things that start flowing through your mind? You start checking your social media, you pick up your phone straight away, or you start checking your work emails, or you start thinking, I got to drop my kids to school and I got to make the dinner and then my boss needs me to send that email, and your mind starts doing this all of a sudden. So what you're actually doing is you're releasing these stress chemicals all throughout your body straight away, first thing in the morning. You know, think about it. What time does your stress start? And I bet you it starts the moment that you open your eyes. And that's not a healthy place to be. How are you going to serve the world? How are you going to help your family? How are you going to be the most productive at work? How are you going to concentrate on your studies in school? Give yourself that time. And for those who say that I don't have time to meditate, I've already got a million things to do. I always say there are 2 times in the day that you have to meditate. Before you get out of bed in the morning and when you get back into bed at the end of the day. Even if you can do 5 minutes when you wake up, just 5 minutes sent to yourself, and do anything that works for you. Nobody's here to judge you on, oh, you must do this and you must do that. If you can just slow your breathing down, do that. If you can calm yourself down with certain words, mantras, certain shabads. If I'm going to pick up my phone in the morning anyway, one of the techniques I have is I'm going to put some kirtan on in the morning, because otherwise, straight away, I'll go to my social media apps and I'll start looking at, well, I posted something yesterday. How many people have liked it? How many people have commented? All of those kinds of things. We're so addicted to these things. So if you're going to pick up your phone anyway in the morning, use that. Use that to your advantage and start creating a habit with the meditative apps and the Kirtan and the Gurbani. We're so lucky today. You don't even have to get out of bed to listen to Kirtan. You can just get into that mindset straight away. But once you start creating the right habits, you will see that it actually carries you through for the rest of the day. Have that time in the morning. Everybody's got 5 minutes. Yeah? Have that time in the morning where you're giving yourself, and at the end of the day, notice your habits at the end of the day as well. Because whatever you think about, whatever you go to bed thinking about, you wake up in the morning. And I'm sure you guys have seen, if you have a song going on in your head at the end of the day, you wake up in the morning, that song is still going. Well, why don't you use Guru's words? Why don't you use the Guru songs? Keep that right sort of frame of mind. And if you're stressed about work at night, you'll be stressed about work. You probably won't sleep that well, let alone having a good night's sleep and waking up with that thought. You'll actually be waking up multiple times in the night. So these are the ways that you start to reflect on yourself and you say, what's not working? Am I healthy right now? Am I in a space of mental wellness right now? And then you start to use these various spiritual tools that have been taught to you as burdens, but really they are techniques to help you be in a good space. And hopefully if you can carve out that time, you will notice that throughout your day, that same peaceful, calm thinking comes back. And you can at any point take that moment. You know, some friends of mine, they had a really good technique that they recommended. They said at work, when we have all of our meetings and appointments and all these alerts start coming up that your next meeting is starting in 5 minutes, they said we actually put in a 1-minute meditation break. Every 60 minutes, a little 1-minute meditation was a reminder that they would put in their calendar. So they said, no matter what I'm doing, I'm just going to take a minute. Rather than going out for a cigarette break or something, which is essentially people trying to do the same thing. They're trying to get out of that stressful situation and just slow their breathing down. You can do that right now within your workplace. So start building the right habits into your working life rather than seeing meditation as something that you have to add on later on. Try and mix it in with your daily life. And I hope hopefully you'll start to see that that's becoming a wellness practice for you rather than a spiritual ritual that you have to complete.
The question I have is, how do I build resilience and acceptance of terrible things that have happened in life?
How do I build resilience and acceptance of the terrible things that have happened in my life? You know, you've just answered your own question. Acceptance. The word acceptance is how you build resilience and how you overcome the things that have happened in your life. And I think a lot of the time, the truth of the matter is we don't want to accept. And the longer we carry on this idea that this should not have happened to me, why did it happen to me? Why is my life so unfair? These are all words and stories that we tell ourselves, which are stories of non-acceptance. Think about if you really accepted the things that have happened in your life, what are the words that you would say to yourself? It's okay. It was meant to happen. What can I learn from this? Those are words of acceptance. And the truth of the matter is, even though we say we want to overcome them and we want to accept them, a lot of the time we actually want to hold on to the pain. We want to hold on to the trauma of the things that have happened to us in our life because that becomes our identity. We now identify as the victim. You know, sometimes I'll meet someone and within 2 minutes, they'll start telling me about a trauma that has happened 10 years ago. And they'll say, completely without me asking them any questions related to it, they'll say, you know what, 10 years ago, my dad died. What I've understood by hearing this again and again, oh, that is who you are now. That's your story. That's become how you identify with yourself. I identify with as the guy whose dad died 10 years ago. So that's the badge of honor that I'm carrying with me all the time. And as soon as I meet someone new, I present them my identity. You're not actually telling me about your event. You're telling me about your identity. This is who I am. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how long do I want to hold on to the pain? How long do I want to hold on to it? And that is a very difficult question. It sounds easy, but the truth of the matter is you've been carrying that pain for a long time, and now you've begun to see that this is who I am. The way I start to think of it is, I cannot change the past, but I choose not to carry it with me. Do you see the difference? The past is always there. But if you put it down and if you let it go, over time, there becomes a distance between you and that event. But if you keep carrying it day after day after day, then it is something that becomes a part of you. There's a wonderful story of two monks who are going for a walk. And these two monks have taken a vow to never touch a woman in their life. And these two monks are going for a walk one day, and they see an old woman standing by a stream, and she needs help to cross the stream. The older and the wiser monk, without even saying anything, he picks up this old woman, puts her on his back, carries her across, puts her down, and they go on their way. And about half an hour goes by, and the younger, less experienced monk, he says, look, I have to stop you. I need to ask this question. We have taken a vow to never touch a woman. Why did you carry that woman across the stream? The older, wiser monk says, I carried that woman across and I left her on the other side of the stream. Why are you still carrying her?
If you're enjoying watching this video, then we need your support to keep this amazing resource going. Nanak Naam is here to make spiritual wisdom available for everyone. We present the teachings of oneness in a way that's easy to understand and apply to our daily lives. So far, our videos and podcasts have reached people in 170 countries, from Croatia to Nigeria, from Brazil to Japan. And by donating towards the costs of creating these videos, you can help us continue to produce more learning materials that will change people's lives around the globe. Our future videos include more explanations of Gurbani, such as the Lama and Salok Melanoma, as well as our courses on relationships, anger management, addictions, and so many more important subjects. So donate today and join us in our mission to share Guru Nanak's wisdom of oneness around the world. Visit nanaknaam.org and click donate.
You see the difference? He did it, he put it down, and he let it go out of his mind. But the less experienced monk is still thinking about it. And this is exactly what we do with our traumas. How long do you want to carry this trauma? How long do you want to say that this is always going to be with me? I'm never going to be able to let it go. And I'm not saying that the event didn't happen. I'm not telling you to have amnesia and forget about the event. The question is, I cannot change the past, but how long do I want to carry it with me? And so can you start to use a different mantra in your mind? Remember how the technology of how this all works. How do you carry trauma is that you keep repeating the story in your mind. It is words that you keep saying to yourself again and again and again. Whenever you meet someone, you keep bringing up the subject. Whenever you're sitting quietly in your room, you keep replaying that scenario in your head. I should have said this. I could have said this. Why didn't I do this? The Guru comes up with a technique which I call wisdom words, which the Guru calls the Guru's Shabad. Guru's Shabad means words of wisdom. Can you change your own words, the own stories that are going on in your head, and replace them with wisdom words? And the wisdom words would sound very different. The wisdom words would say things like, I choose happiness now. That is not happening to me right now. That event has gone. It's past. I trust the universe. I accept anything that the universe throws my way. These are wisdom words, and you can use all of Guru Granth Sahib is essentially a wisdom word. It's a package. You can take any line, any sentence, any mantra, any Shabad, and just keep repeating that. And that's where you start to see real transformation. The word Guru means to take you from your own darkness to your own lightness. And what is the Guru? Shabad is the Guru. The wisdom is the Guru. So by practicing wisdom words, mantras all the time, you start to remove that sense of darkness from within. Because if you don't do that, what is the alternative? The alternative is that I'm just going to repeat my own stories. And I'll leave you with this thought. Every single human being is meditating all the time. You're all doing it right now. But what you're meditating on is this idea of me, I, me, myself, my worries, my thoughts, my hopes, my desires, my future, my past. This is what you're meditating on all the time. So when people say, I don't know how to meditate, I say that's not true. You're meditating all the time. But what are you meditating on? You're meditating on yourself. Or, more importantly, you're meditating on that person who created the trauma within your mind. You know, think about when somebody walks past the room that you don't like. Straight away, you start thinking, oh, that guy owes me money. He did this to me. I can't believe he's here. Why is he here at the same time as me? That guy's walked away, but 10 minutes later, you're still thinking about it. And the most important question is, why are you meditating on him? Why is that person become your meditation? So when we start to understand how our minds work and our mind is constantly meditating, ruminating on these ideas, then the Guru Nanak's technique is simple. Change what you're meditating on. Let me give you my words. Let me give you my wisdom. The Guru is saying to you, take my words. Take my mat, my thinking. Don't take your own mind, man mat, your own mind. Take my thinking, because I've solved this problem. I've solved this riddle. I know how to fix the mind. And once I know how to fix the mind, I'm going to give you the same techniques. So Shabad, wisdom words, is how you overcome the traumas of your past, because you will not be able to change the past, but you can change your present and change your future.
Vijay, our new question was, what happens if, for example, your body was abused or has experienced trauma by an external party? How can you accept that your body is now a temple still?
The simple answer is it your body? You're saying that if my body has been abused, if I've gone through some trauma, how can I begin to see it as a temple? I want you to look at it in a slightly different way. Think about how you act in a temple. Think about how we all behave when we go to a temple. Everything changes about our demeanor. We start speaking softly. We may cover our heads or cover our bodies. We put our phones on silent. And all of a sudden, we start acting in a far more saintly and meditative manner, because we know that we're in the presence of something holy. So it is not about how can I treat my body as a temple. I would say to you, treat your body as a temple. Start to now imagine, what if this is actually a temple? Think about a temple, right? When you go to a temple, what's the difference between a temple and your own home? In your home, you say, this is my home. I belong here. So when I come home, I just throw my shoes off. I put my feet on. I put my feet up. I sit back. I relax. This is my home. I'm the king here. When you go to a temple, it usually belongs to a deity, a god. It belongs to some holy being of some sort. So you can't behave in the same way. The wisdom of treat your body as a temple is to say, what if I was to begin to treat this body as though it belonged to not me, but it actually belonged to the spirit of life? And how would I now act if I recognize that there was a divine space within this? But that can be quite difficult to do. You say, well, it's not divine. I know me. I know my mind. I know what I go through every day. I know the harsh words that I use. I know that there are things about my body that I look in the mirror and I'm not very satisfied with. I'd like to change my nose, and I wish I was taller, and I wish my skin color was this. We all do these things, right? But I started by saying, is this yours? One of the biggest mistakes we say is, this is my body. So let's analyze that. Let's look at that. Did you create this body? He said, no, I didn't create this body. So what happened? You just landed in it. You just appeared and the body was given to you. So it's not your body. Okay. Do you create the breath? Are you keeping this body going right now? What's keeping the body going? The body is breathing, but you're not breathing. It's just breathing by itself. Are you circulating the blood around your body right now? Are you doing that? No. Are you pumping the heart? No, I'm not doing that. When you were a child, were you responsible for how tall you grew? Were you growing your body? No. So how can you tell me this is your body? This is a gift. This is a gift that's been given to you. And the spiritual masters have always told us this is much more than a gift. This is actually a temple. And once you begin to recognize that this is a temple, you will start to now think, well, how do I act in this temple? This is a vessel that has been created by the greatest force in the universe. Think of all of the technology that we have in life today. Can anything create this? Something as wonderful? Till today, they say the brain, the human brain, is the most complicated thing in all of the universe that we've come across. Just this in here. I mean, I'm not capable of creating the most complicated thing in the universe. I didn't create this thing. I can barely make a roti that's round, right? Let alone create something that is so wonderful and magnificent. So when we begin to understand this genuinely is a gift, and you have a gift for a very short amount of time, you have no idea when the owner of this gift is going to come and ask for the gift back. You have no idea. So this is now an opportunity for you. What can I do with this gift? You can carry on keeping these traumas going on in your mind as much as you want to. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of us like our traumas. I know it sounds harsh to say, but a lot of us like to hold on to that because we want to continue to feel like the victim. A lot of us don't want to let go of these past traumas. And then we say, well, I tried meditation, it doesn't work. It isn't just about that. It's about actually asking yourself some very, very tough questions. Can I let go of this? And can I now start to act as though this is a temple? And you will start to see things very different when you see this body as Har Mandir, as a divine temple. Start to see this as think about how you act if you were in the Golden Temple right now, and do that within your own body. Start to treat this as a sacred space, and then everything becomes sacred. If you're in a temple, you wouldn't use harsh words. If you go to the Gurudwara, if you go to a church, if you go to a holy space, you don't start swearing and start using harsh words. You don't dart around your eyes and start looking at other people lustfully. You wouldn't like it if somebody starts having a conversation with you. Oh, look what he did. Look what you said. Hey, I'm not here for that. I'm in a temple. I'm here to get rid of all of that noise of the world, and I'm trying to get myself into a meditative space. That's why I've come to the temple. But you're in a temple. So when you're in a temple, now ask the question, how do I speak? What should I listen to? What should I look at? And then you start to address the habits in your life. What am I following on social media? Is this adding to my meditative space? Is this worthy of this temple? What am I binge watching on my streaming services? Is this worthy of this temple? And that starts to become really difficult. You say, yeah, but I quite like that Netflix series. I wanted to get to the finish because it's only now started. I'm in the second series and it's getting really exciting. I'm not telling you not to watch. I'm telling you to reflect on yourself. Is this worthy of the temple that you've been given? And these start to become difficult questions because a lot of us don't want to make real changes. So I thought I just had to wear a turban and grow my hair and do this and just say some prayers 5 times a day. No, don't do that stuff. That stuff was to make you to introspect. And if you don't want to introspect, then you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself and you're fooling everyone because you think that you are a spiritual person, but you're not willing to do the actual work that it takes to look within yourself. Look within yourself. That is where you will find divinity. That's where you're going to find peace. That's where you're going to be able to heal yourself from your past traumas. If you go within yourself and start to be willing to change your characteristics, change how you are. So I know it sounds simple, but it might even be a little bit painful. Are you willing to go through that effort? Because what is there on the other side? Guru Nanak says, Balhari gur apne, Deohari sadvar, Jin manas te devte kiye. I bow down to the Guru 1,000,000 times a day who transformed me from being an individual, an ordinary human being, into a God. The beauty about treating your body as a temple is it will transform you into a God. You don't have to bow down to some other gods. You will become a God, God-like, because the Guru that you have is God-like. The Guru that you have is the highest Devta. Gur jaisa nahi ko dev. There is no other God like this Guru. Because why? Because he makes me into a God. That's what's available to you. This is what is on offer to you. You have the ability, you know, like you watch these superhero movies, somebody doesn't know that they're a superhero and all of a sudden they get these powers and they don't know what to do with themselves. That is what is available to you. You are a walking, talking superhero that's waiting to discover that divinity that's within you. Now the question is that what you want? He said, no, I'll just watch some Netflix. I'll just watch the superheroes, but I don't want to become one.
I've tried Path, but I don't feel a connection through Bani. So I want to be a good Sikh, but how can I do so?
It's very, very important that what you're doing is something that you understand. If you don't understand the language of the Guru, then use your language. It's okay. You don't have to stand up and do ardas in a foreign language if you don't understand it. By all means, try and learn the language if you can. But this is not something that's meant to be difficult for you. I want you to just think about this for a moment. When Guru Nanak was around, all spiritual wisdom in India was limited to one language, and that was Sanskrit. In fact, it was frowned upon for anybody to teach spiritual wisdom in any other language. What did Guru Nanak do? He said, I'm going to take this to every person in every corner of the world. And in every corner of the world that he went to, he spoke in their language. If you look at the Guru Granth Sahib, there are multiple languages in there. It isn't one language. Now the question is, if Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes to Australia, what language would he speak? Would he tell you, I've got something amazing to tell you, but first you've got to learn my language? That's not how he did it. He said, I need to tell you something. It's going to change your life. What language do you speak here? I'll do it in your language. And so what he did was he wrote songs in their language because he knew that the songs were the way that you could transform your thinking. So the question is, where is the Kirtan in English? Where is the Gurbani in English? In your language. Understanding the principles of what the Guru was trying to teach is far more important than feeling guilty about, I don't know how to do this language. So as long as you don't know the Guru's language, do it in English. It is so powerful for you to every day read the Bani in the language of your own thoughts. Because I always ask people, what is the language that you think in when you're having a dialogue? You know, some of us, we speak multiple languages, but what is the language that you think in? What is the language that you dream in? That's the language. Use that. Do not be fooled by what everybody has told you. People have deceived you time and time again. And they kept saying, if you don't learn this language, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong if you don't know how to say it. If you don't pronounce it the right way, you're doing it wrong. Somebody up there in the sky is going to do something wrong. This is not true. They don't know how to connect, and they don't know how to connect you. Guru Nanak doesn't tell you, learn my language. He says, just start to change the way you think. Let me do it in whatever way. The Guru's trying to make your life so much easier. And we've made it so complicated. Now, I'm not telling you don't learn the Guru's language, because the Guru's Bani, I can't tell you, is phenomenally beautiful. It is so wonderful to hear this poetry. And it's taken a long time for me to, look, I wasn't brought up speaking Punjabi in my house. English is my first language, ever has been since a child. And I had to learn the language of Guru Granth Sahib. I still struggle to speak Punjabi, but I understand Kirtan probably better than I understand some poetry in Punjabi. If you give me a Punjabi newspaper or you put on the news channel, I'll probably struggle. But you give me a Shabad of Gurbani, I can start to do it. Why? Because I've spent time committing to learning that. And I'll give you a simple technique that I think has worked very well for me in order to start learning that language, in order to start really bringing that message in. What I would usually do is, when I go to work, and you know how you open your emails and you start doing all those things, I would dedicate 5 minutes before I checked my emails. And what I would do is I would go on to the Hukamnama of the day. You know what that is? That's where the holy reading of the Guru Granth Sahib. Every day there's a new verse that's read at the Golden Temple at Harmandir Sahib. And I would go and read that, and then I would read the translation. And what I would start to do is I would start to doing word mapping. I would say that word there means this word in English. That word there means this word. So hukam, that means command. Shabad, that means word. And slowly, every day, just by spending 5 minutes, I started to build a glossary of the Guru's words in my mind. I started to understand the vocabulary. So now, when I'm listening to Shabads, I'm not saying that it's perfect for me. Even now, I use the apps. And I open a Shabad. If a Hukamnama is coming, if Kirtan is coming, I'm reading it in English. Because I don't want to sit there and be frustrated thinking this sounds really nice, but I have no idea what it's saying. And we're so lucky with technology these days. You can have the Guru Granth Sahib in your own language on your phone right now. And so we have access to a lot of these tools. So it's amazing that you're saying that I don't connect with it, because that's a really important question. But what I would do with that is, I wouldn't want you to feel guilty about that. I would want you to ask yourself, what does connect me? How am I connecting? How can I connect even more? And then use that, connect. Your connection is the most important thing. If you sit there for 45 minutes or an hour every morning just reading words that you don't understand, Guru Nanak might as well have given you the words in Sanskrit. He said, well, people don't understand this language anyway. And the way I'd like you to think about this, William Shakespeare, I don't know if you ever studied Shakespeare in school. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. English is my first language. I have no idea what Shakespeare is talking about. But when Shakespeare wrote his plays, he wrote it in the common man's language. So at the time, it was for poor, uneducated people. He would go in different places and he would perform his plays, and it was for the common man. 500 years later, the language has now changed, so we can't understand what Shakespeare is saying. Guess what? Guru Granth Sahib is also a 500-year-old language. So Guru Granth Sahib has now become the Shakespeare. Guru Nanak was trying to make it in everyday people's language. But now, 500 years later, it's become difficult for us to understand. Imagine what's going to happen in another 500 years. It's going to become a Sanskrit that nobody understands. So you've got two options. One is start understanding the language so that you don't lose this connection with Guru Nanak's words. And secondly, in the meantime, start connecting in your own way, because ultimately the message is telling you to connect. And so don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty about doing it in English. Don't feel guilty about connecting. And it doesn't matter what anybody else tells you, because your Guru is saying, connect. I want you to feel this. I want you to fall in love with this. And whatever language that helps you to fall in love with this wisdom, to fall in love with the peace, tranquility, the beauty that Guru Nanak has available to you, do that. Prioritize connecting first, and as a secondary, start prioritizing trying to learn how to learn this, to do this, because there is a limit with the language. With the translations, you're never going to get the real beauty of what the Guru is saying. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. Don't use that as a way not to connect now. Connect now in your language, but also build up your skills so that you can fall in love with the Guru's language, because that's, you know, for the crude phrase that we have in the UK, it's from the horse's mouth, right? That's where you're actually hearing it in the real language that it comes from.
Sat Sri Akal, Vijay. First of all, thank you for offering an opportunity to, you know, ask some of the concerns, questions which have been bothering, you know, me, us inside. The question what I want to ask is actually might resonate with the people who are not Shabad Surat, still born in Sikh families. Can we still implement principles of Sikhi in our day-to-day life, even though we have very limited, or I should say, no knowledge of Gurbani, and we don't look like a Sikh? Or, you know, this is basically what I wanted to ask. Or do we really need to identify or be in that form, learn Gurbani, and then only we can implement, you know, the principles of Guru Nanak?
You know, as Sikhs, we like to say that the Guru Granth Sahib is a Jagat Guru, which means that it is a guru for the whole world, a teacher for the whole world. But then the Sikhs have a problem. They say it is for the whole world, but before you can access this guru, you need to learn an ancient language. And before you do that, you also have to grow your hair. And then you also have to wear these things. And then you also have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then you also have to give up this and don't do that. And then you have to eat this and don't eat that. And so we're very proud in saying that this is a wisdom for the whole world. But then we've also done a lot to create barriers to access that wisdom. I do not believe Guru Nanak came here to create barriers for you. Guru Nanak came to connect each and every single one of us. So, are you creating a barrier for yourself? Are you stopping yourself from accessing this wisdom? I'll give you an example from my own life. I was sitting once in a restaurant, my wife and I, and the waitress came up to me and she said, "Virji, can I ask you a question?" She said, "Can I read Gurbani even though I still eat meat?" And my reply to her was, "Please start reading Gurbani. Why haven't you started yet?" So what we've started to do is we hear all these things from other people. Oh, I'm not right, I'm not this, I'm not that. And then we stop ourselves. And I want you to think about it this way. If you knew that Guru Nanak was visiting Sydney, would you say, "I'm not going to go visit him because I haven't grown my hair and I haven't worn a turban and I haven't stopped eating this and I haven't done that and I didn't wake up at this time and I didn't wash my hair and I didn't do all this and do that"? Or would you go out of your way to go and be in the presence of Guru Nanak?
So is it okay to be still not Shabad Surat and still, yes, I haven't, we don't do Nitnem, but do Japji Sahib, Ras Sahib, and whenever you get time, you do. So are we in the right path, or is there hope for us as well?
Let me help to alleviate some of your concern. The most important thing that you can do is start. And when you start, you realize that there is a value to all of these things that the Gurus have given us. These are not meant to be burdens in your life. They're meant to be helpful things that keep your connection. So it's like saying, "I want to ask this girl out on a date, but I'm not ready to put a wedding ring on my finger just yet." So should I ask the girl out on a date? You can't put a wedding, you can't go to her first with a wedding ring before you've even introduced yourself. She'll think you're crazy, right? So create that relationship. And as soon as you create that relationship, you will say to yourself, now I want to have a wedding ring on my finger. Me and her, I want to create this connection. So I want you to start seeing this kada. I want you to start seeing this form as your wedding ring. At some point, you will fall in love with this guru so much that you will say, I'm willing to connect and with this guru all day, every day. In fact, when I look in the mirror, I don't even want to see my own face anymore. I want to see my guru's face. That's a very different relationship, but that's based on love. That is you having fallen madly and deeply in love. But first, you have to go out on a date first. You have to see. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are put off by it. They're saying, well, I don't want to marry her, so I don't, like, maybe I don't even ask her out in the first place. Well, why are you thinking so far ahead down the line? But start that relationship. And you can, you know, I use the example of imagine Guru Nanak was in your town. Guru Nanak is in every single Gurdwara all across the world. Right here, right now, your Guru is there. Your Guru is waiting for you, and the Guru would never turn you away and say, no, I don't want to see him because he hasn't got a turban on his head. Send him away. My Guru would not do that. Guru Nanak would not do that to you. The Guru is waiting for you right now. In fact, you can download Guru Granth Sahib on your phone. What are you waiting for? Now the question is, am I now my own barrier? Am I restricting myself? It is available to you. Ask the Guru out on a date and see what happens. Hold the Guru's hand. Reach your hand out to the Guru and see what will happen. Don't use these things as a barrier.
Hi, Biji. So my question is, why be a Sikh? We're told that if you are a Christian or a Muslim, you can still reach God. And nowadays we have access to meditation apps and mindfulness as a concept to reach peace. So what is the value of Sikhi?
When we think about Sikhi, I want you to put down all the preconceptions that you have of rituals and dogma and labels. Those of you who've done the Living with Wisdom course, the very first episode asks you a fundamental question: what is the purpose of my life? And you all know from all the things that you've tried, a difficult question to ask yourself is, do I feel happy in my life? And the truth of the matter is, we're all searching for happiness. And in fact, what we're really searching for is to feel whole and complete, because we've all been born with a sense of emptiness and a void in our life. That is what the Guru is trying to help you complete. Now, you know, you talked about different religions, you talked about meditation apps, and you could go to a yoga class and you could do all those things. Well, guess what? When Guru Nanak Dev Ji came onto the world, all of those options were available, except for the downloading the app. All of those options were available. And what Guru Nanak noticed was somehow amongst all of those things, real connection had been lost. So you can download a meditation app and you can feel calm for a while, but you're not going to feel whole. We're all feeling empty. And what we try and do is we try and fill that sense of wholeness. You can go to a yoga class, but yoga was always taught with the centuries-old wisdom that came with the yoga class. But now if you go to a yoga class, you don't get taught the wisdom. You're only getting taught the postures. So what you're getting nowadays is a lot of these things that look like they are a full, complete package, but they're an incomplete package. The question now comes, who do you trust to really give you a sense of complete fulfillment and wholeness in your life? Remember what's available to you. Guru Nanak says that you are connected with the entire universe, but you don't feel it right now. You just feel like simple old me, plain old me. And Guru Nanak says, I can show you how to lose that sense of me and I-ness, and I can show you how you are completely connected. Now, the question comes, can I download an app that's going to give me all of that? Who do I trust? Who do I absolutely trust has got that? Those of you who are familiar with a Shabad, Sarva Rog Ka Aukhad Naam. All of your pains, all of your diseases, all of your worries can be solved by Guru Nanak's technique. He brings you a technique that says, I will fix every single problem in your life. And not because I'm some magic man. He says, because I've found how to fix all the problems in my own life. I've solved all those problems. I've gotten rid of jealousy. I've gotten rid of hatred. I've got rid of feeling depressed. I've got rid of my worries and anxiety. I've got rid of that horrible feeling that you wake up in the morning and you feel stressed and you feel like, I don't know what life is about. I've got rid of that feeling that life feels like such a burden and feels like a battle every day, and I don't want it to go on anymore. I've got rid of the feelings of I don't know how to deal with these really difficult peoples in my life. Guru Nanak solved all those problems, and when he solved it, he gave it to the world. So I want you to, when you think about what's the point of being a Sikh, I want you to really ask yourself, am I really asking what's the point of Guru Nanak? Or am I asking what's the point of all of this religious baggage that I feel when I think about the Sikh religion? And I think it's that. It's the baggage that most people are now afraid of, that I don't want to do this and I do that. But Guru Nanak isn't trying to give you baggage in your life. He genuinely brings a technique that is for you while you're doing your day-to-day things. You don't have to leave your life. You don't have to give up the way you look. You don't have to give up what you do and who your friends are. Don't do all those things.
Have you found that spiritual teachings are great to learn, but not always easy to apply to your own life? Sometimes we all need a bit of support and guidance from people who know what we're going through and can help us find some answers. The Nanak Naam Facebook group helps you do just that. It's an online community where you can ask any questions about life and get answers from other members of the group. Search for Nanak Naam Community Support and join our free Facebook group today.
Start to take on the Guru's wisdom, because it really has the ability to change you. And I don't want you to look at me as well, you would say that because you're a Sikh and you're kind of towing the party line. No, I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying it because I've tried some of these other things. I've been to yoga classes. I've downloaded the meditation apps. I've read a whole bunch of spiritual books and done all those things. But the truth comes that there is something underneath all of that stuff. And Guru Nanak was trying to strip away from all of the religious baggage that was out there all the time. And he even says specifically in his Bani, he says, what you wear isn't going to change you. Just because you know how to say all the right prayers, that isn't the answer. Guru Nanak is telling you this isn't the answer. The question is, do you trust that Guru Nanak has solved this problem? Has Guru Nanak solved the ultimate human problem? And that's for you to ask. Do you trust? You know, when you go to a classroom, you go to university and you sit in a lecture theatre and you're hearing the physics professor or the science professor or the maths tutor or whatever it is, you're hearing them. There is an element of trust, right? You don't go into the classroom and say, well, I don't know what he's talking about is true. You look at their qualifications, you look at their credentials, you look at, well, they sound like they know what they're doing and they've done it for a lot longer than me. So in order for you to really learn, there has to be an element of trust that says, I'm going to trust you that what you're saying is true. And I don't have to blindly trust you. If you've taught other people and they now understand and they've passed their exams, then surely I can trust that you're going to help me pass my exam. And that's kind of how I want you to think about Guru Nanak. Has Guru Nanak does he have a good track record? Right? You know, I read reviews for every single thing. I'm one of those really lazy people. I never write a review. But for anything that I'm going to buy, even if it's a couple of pounds, I'm reading hundreds and hundreds of reviews. And so I want to check before anything goes forward. I want to check, is this real? Is this good? Am I going to get value for money? And that's exactly what we should be doing. We should be checking our guru and saying, does this stuff work? And you know what's really starting to break our heart is we look around and we look at the other Sikhs and we're saying, I don't think you guys are following this stuff properly. Because if you were following it properly, this would have had an impact on your life. And that's where we start to get disappointed. We say, all the Sikhs that I'm seeing around you, they don't seem to be doing the right thing. And now you've got to ask yourself, are these the right people that I'm hanging around with? Are these the people who have genuinely taken that wisdom on and practiced it in their life? Go and find those people. Ask those people, hey, what does Guru Nanak do for you in your life? You know, get a review from them. Get their feedback. What does Guru Nanak actually do for you in your life? And when you start to find that there are people for whom Guru Nanak has completely changed their life and saying, hey, I put my hand up. This is it. I've tried all the other stuff. This solves my problems. Then you say, oh, I trust this guy now. But it is really hard. I completely know where you're coming from. There's so much religious baggage. There's so many different things that are out there, and we get confused and we say, actually, I don't need any of this stuff. I go to the Gurdwara and I get told off because my hair isn't covered, or if I do this or if I do that, and somebody's making me feel inferior because I don't know the language, or I eat this and you've got to be able to create that distinction between all of the noise that's out there and actually the wisdom. And this is why I say, for every single person who's listening to me, please start creating a direct connection with the Guru's words. Start actually reading the Guru's teachings and stop listening to everyone else. Stop listening to people like me who look like they know what they're doing, but maybe leading you down the wrong way. Go and start reading this wisdom, because you would not ask this question if you actually had a daily conversation directly with the Guru. You're looking to me to give you the answer. You're looking to others and say, hey, well, maybe you guys can tell me. But it's available to you. The wisdom is available to you right now. Start creating a relationship with this, and then somebody will come to you and say, hey, why do you read this every day? You say, this stuff fixes me. This stuff changes my life. This stuff makes me better. It makes me able to deal with day-to-day life. My life is now better because I read this stuff every day, and it allows me to deal with life better. So why should I be a Sikh? I can only tell you why I'm a Sikh. Because I don't know what I would be right now if I didn't have this wisdom. You know, I'm quite honest sometimes, and I say, I'm so lucky that I don't drink alcohol because I have such a weak mind. I know so many times in my life where if I had access to that, I would have let myself go. I would have used that to just try and numb the pain. There are so many times in my life where I'm so grateful. I'm like, thank God I don't drink, because right now I feel so stressed and I would easily have gone towards these things. I would have gone towards drugs in so many different times in my life. And the Guru saved me because I had something else to lean on. I had something else when time gets tough. And everybody thinks that, you know, especially when you're young, you think like, hey, I know what life is. Life is going to get harder. There are going to be things that challenge you in your life that are so much more difficult than you've ever experienced. And you have access to this amazing thing that genuinely has fixed me. I can only tell you, it's so many times saved me. And if you just give it a try this. Like, that's all I'm doing here. All I'm doing right now is saying, guys, this stuff fixes you and it's really good for you. I'm not trying to sell you a religion. I'm not trying to make you miserable. I don't believe Guru Nanak is trying to make you have a complex about, oh, I don't want to look like this and I don't want to be judged by my friends. That's not what Guru's trying to do. Guru's trying to make your life beautiful because it made his life beautiful. And there are so many people around. If you could just find one or two more people whose life has genuinely become beautiful, spend some time with them, learn from them. What is it that this wisdom does for you? And then hopefully you'll get enough of that kind of desire within you that says, I think I want to give it a go myself. I want to try this myself. I want to try this wisdom for myself. So try it out. You've got nothing to lose.
I think you talked about this just in your last response, but the last few days, At the SYA Summer Camp, with the Living with Wisdom course, we've had such brilliant open youth circle discussions of the questions. We noticed as well that the Christian community in particular is very strong in creating power through regular Bible studies groups. How can the Sikh community encourage and organize these youth discussion groups?
This is a fantastic question, and the whole purpose of why we created the Living with Wisdom course is exactly for this. Right now, there is no space for Sikhs to go to the Gurdwara and engage in dialogue. It's a very passive experience. You go there, you listen, you're told what to say, you're told what is right. Somebody with religious looking clothes sits on a stage and they just tell you stuff. You listen to Kirtan. You don't even participate in Kirtan. I'm surprised so many times when I go to the Gurdwara and I'm the only one singing away and everybody else around me is just passively listening. This is an active experience. And so we've got a culture within the Gurdwaras where there is no room for you to ask these kinds of questions, and which is why we created the Living with Wisdom course. It was created to put power back in your hands. The only way, if you believe that Guru Nanak's wisdom is for everyone, if you believe that Guru Nanak's wisdom can change your life and the life of people all over the world, then the only way is for you to start spreading this, not because you're a teacher, but by simply putting groups together. We have a vision at Nanak Naam, and I'm so glad that I'm getting this opportunity to share this with all of you guys. The vision is we need to create learning centers all over the world. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji was traveling, I want to give you a little anecdote. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji was traveling all around the world, he had a mission statement. And that is recorded by somebody called Bhai Gurdas Ji, who writes a little bit about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's travels. And he says Guru Nanak Dev Ji did something miraculous when he traveled all over the world. He said, Kar kar andar taramsal hove. Each and every home became a spiritual learning center when Guru Nanak was around. That is the vision of Nanak Naam, my organization, and that is the vision of the Living with Wisdom course. I need every single one of you to carry on this course. And all you have to do is, if you can gather 5-10 people in your homes, in your families, in your community groups, in your universities, in your places of work, if you can sit around a screen and press play and press pause, you can run this course. You don't need to be an expert. We designed this course so that you don't need to be an expert. All you need to do is to be a facilitator, and that's why we wanted to trial it at the SYA camp as well. It is so crucial that you create these, and I'll give you an example. I did the Living with Wisdom course on my dining table with my wife and my children. My children are 10 and 12 years old. And I sat around all of them, and every week we watched the episodes and we just asked each other the question. So, do you think happiness exists? What do you think the key to a blissful relationship is? What do you think about the fact that you and me are going to die? Let's start having these conversations. So the vision that we have for Nanak Naam is we want everybody to create a group. That's all you have to do. Create your own groups. We will provide you with the content in your language. We'll make it very easy for you, and all you have to do is run these groups, and don't just run them once. Run them again and again and again, because there are millions of people out there who are waiting for this wisdom. There are so many people that are waiting, and the Gurdwaras are not doing it. They're not armed with the mission statement to educate the world on Gurbani. Gurdwaras have become the Sikh ceremony centers. That's where you go. I like to say births, deaths, and everything in between, you go to the Gurdwara. You go for all of those ceremonies. And that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But I'm not also going to give the authority to somebody else. If they're not going to take it, then the Gurus empowered us and they said, you become the lion. Each single one of you, whether you have a turban on your head, whether you think you're baptized or Amritari and all those things, forget all those things. Each single one of you is a son or daughter of the Guru, of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. You've got that power within you, and all you need to do is just take that sense of responsibility. I'm going to do something. And what we want to do with Nanak Naam is we want to create the courses for you. So this first course that we've created is called Living with Wisdom. It's 10 episodes that answer the life's biggest questions. We want to now create further courses for you. The next course that's coming out in the next couple of weeks is called Grieving with Wisdom. It's a 4-part series specifically to deal with the loss of a loved one and coping with death in the family, coping with bereavement. We will continue to create these. We will create courses on parenting with wisdom, relationships with wisdom, marriage with wisdom, childcare with wisdom, working and business with wisdom. How do we do these things? Because, you know, we say all the time, oh, Gurbani has the answers to all the questions. Well, does it? Let's do it. Let's find out if the Guru has the answers. I believe that the Guru has the answers to all these things. But I tell you what, guys, I can't do this on my own. I can't go, and this is why, you know, the organizers of this camp and people all over the world, they say, can you come? Can you fly to the other side of the world and deliver this talk? And I want to show you this is possible without me, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I don't want anything to be dependent on me. I want to give it all to you. Here, take it. It's free. By the way, we're not charging a penny for this. It is completely free. Of course, we rely on your donations, and we are so thankful to the Sangat in Australia and people all over the world that donate to us. That is the way that we keep this going. But we want you to create these study groups. And it doesn't matter if you don't know anything. And it doesn't matter how big the size of your group is. We've even created it in such a way that you can do this as a virtual thing. You can set up an online video conferencing call and get 5 people in your family and say, guys, every Tuesday, we're just going to log on and we're just going to watch this video and we're going to have a conversation. Because once you start internalizing the Guru's wisdom, it is going to change your life and it is going to change the world. And you need to be a part of that. And it's so simple. We've really tried to make it as easy as possible. So I want to ask every single person here, please consider completing this course. Once this camp is over, take this, continue the lessons. You can all go and download these lessons for free on livingwithwisdom.org. Take these lessons, and when you're done, go and find more people and then continue them. Create more groups. We need to create a snowball effect where once you've completed the course, then each person who's attended the course goes and creates their own groups. And as long as there is breath in my body, I'm going to continue to work towards this. I'm going to keep trying to provide this content for the whole world as I understand it. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not saying I'm right in all that I'm doing. All I'm saying is I looked around and I saw nobody else was doing it. And I said, I'm going to stand up and try and give it a go myself. I'm not an expert. I have no authority to teach you anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. But when nobody else is doing it, then I have to stand up and say, I'm going to do something. And the truth of the matter is the Gurudwaras are not doing what they should have been doing for a long time. And a lot of the people who are preaching on the stages, they're not teaching you what is actually written in the Bani. They keep talking about other things, but don't actually talk about what is the real message that's in the Bani. The real message is here to transform you and change your life. And it can do that, and it does do that. And we need to not make it complicated. So if we can all get on board with this mission, Kar kar andar taramsal hove. Each and every home must become a spiritual learning center, and the Guru is the spiritual guide for the whole world. Let's make this happen, guys.